Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Legacy Podcast. My name is Olisya Grant, and I am so excited to get this started for a number of reasons. The first one is that it's a long time in the making. I have been on this incredible self-development journey, financial literacy journey, spiritual journey, just all kinds of good stuff. And nothing gets me more fired up than being able to share my experience with somebody and they're able to take something from that, really make it their own, and then go off and find their own success. And one thing that you're going to know on this podcast, I will never speak on an experience that I haven't yet had. I think that's one of the tragedies of the world is you have people out here posing as life coaches and wealth coaches and all these things. But the things that they're teaching you, they're not really doing it. And the most frustrating part about that is there's people listening to those people who are really not doing it. So it's just a big cycle of people who think they're doing something, but nothing's really going on. So I'll guarantee you, I'm not going to speak on nothing that I haven't yet been a part of. There's a few reasons why I really wanted to put something like this together. And the main one, and the reason in which I called it Legacy Podcast, is I'm really big on finding a way to leave something behind, create something that's going to far outlive our physical experience. As dark or negative as it sounds, we all have an expiration date, right? And why we don't set ourselves and our families up for success when we do pass is beyond me. And I had a friend and her mother passed away. And I've seen it a few times, actually, where you lose somebody close to you or you lose a job, you end up in some kind of tragedy. So not only is your heart broken, but now you're set back years trying to just fix up what should have already been set up in the first place. And so something that I know that I'm called to do is to create generational wealth that I could pass down to my family. So regardless of how successful I am in my job, I can't pass my job down to my children. But what I can pass down is real estate. What I can pass down is content. What I can pass down is a business that they can go off and learn from and build on their own. And so the main idea of what we're doing here is, as I go on this journey to build a legacy and to create something bigger than me, I want to be able to share those experiences. So whoever's also on this journey with me, we can just go together. We can go ahead and build a legacy together. We could just make sure that we're leaving this world a better place than how we found it. And if I look at what started this whole growth and expansion and desire to want to leave a legacy, it starts with a decision. And that's really what I want to speak on today is decision. I just actually put up a post on it today where it's like, you have to make a decision. And the beautiful part about this life is if I make a bad decision, well, that's okay. I just learned from it. I just learned something that's not going to work. If I make a great decision, then that's even better because I get to grow in that good decision. But a lot of us waste time. We sit on the fence and we're nervous and we're scared. And this is why I'm so excited right now, because I've been sitting on the fence wanting to do something like this, put something together, put together some form of content where I could share. But the whole time I'm sitting on the fence scared. Scared of what? I have no idea. I couldn't tell you what I was scared of, but something was just holding me back from just taking that jump. And that's what happens to us a lot of the times. We say with our words that, hey, I've made a decision. 2020 is my year. I'm going to start this project, get this business started, whatever it is. And then fear gets the best of us. And it's a fear that we can't even explain, because fear is a real thing. It really is real. You get knots in your stomach, sweat, all kinds of fear is real. But the majority of the things that we fear never actually happen. So we're sitting here scared in the corner in our mind. Meanwhile, none of what we're scared of is actually going to happen. And so really we're just holding ourselves back from whatever it is that we're called to do. And so back to my fence analogy, we all sit on the fence because we're scared to make the wrong decision, not realizing that the wrong decision can only get us closer to the right one. And the right decision is also going to take you on an extra step to get to that place that you want to be. So it all starts with the decision. And I made a decision 2 years ago that my life was not intended to, jump out of bed in the morning, drive through traffic, sit in an office from 9 to 5 or whatever the time is, come home, give my family whatever's left of me at the end of the day, and just rinse and repeat over and over for 45, 50 years, whatever. I just knew that wasn't for me. And I realized that real quick because every time I would get a new job, a new position, I'd get tired of it faster and faster. So to the point where it's not the job anymore, it's me. I was just not intended to be an employee. And I don't want there to be any misconception of there being anything wrong with a job or being an employee or anything like that. There's no problem with it. We each have a calling, a position. Is how the world goes around. But there's some of us who we just know that there's more to this life. There's more to us than just going through that cycle. And even if we are going through that cycle, there's still another side of us that we're called to express. And I think the biggest tragedy is we don't make a decision for our own lives, so the decision is made for us. We go to a job, and the decision for our life is that we're about to build somebody else's legacy. And as I said before in the beginning, I cannot pass a job on to my family. If I pass, sure, maybe if I'm lucky, I have life insurance benefits through my work or whatever that looks like. But what happens when that runs out? What's the blueprint to success? And there's so many different layers to this conversation because even if we want to look at it from a cultural basis, if we look at the most successful cultures, if we look at the Asian community, we could look at the Jewish community. These are groups of individuals who have figured out how to be successful, how to start a business, how to create a blueprint. So if a family or a friend or somebody from the community is to, let's say, move to Canada or move wherever, everything is already set for them. They have support. They got a place to stay. They have a blueprint for how to purchase their first house, how to open their business. And this is why they're able to prosper. What happens in the Black community is we find success and we want to keep it quiet because we're afraid somebody is going to come and take it from us. So that's a whole nother conversation for another day. But what I'm really trying to do with this content is to show the blueprint. Right now, I'm creating my blueprint, and I really just want to share it with as many people as I can because I'm finding so much fulfillment in my life, and it's contagious. So what I'm seeing now is the people around me are starting to say, okay, she's doing something, so maybe that means I could do something. And that just lights me up because I just know I'm in the right space doing the right things. And I'm so excited to get this started. And I just hope y'all could feel the genuine energy that I have just to serve and just to be a resource because people have questions that they don't get answers to, right? My husband and I, we purchased our first house about 1.5 years ago. And that whole journey was a situation because people want to keep certain information from you and you got to go and you got to shake it out and really figure it out for yourself. But if you don't have that, one, if you don't have the time, and two, if your desire isn't overwhelming, then you're not going to get the answers to the questions that you need answered. And then you're going to be stuck thinking in your head that you can't be a homeowner because you couldn't find access to the information that you needed. And let me let you in. This is one of my favorite, testimonials or stories. After my husband and I went and purchased our house, my parents, who had been renting their entire lives, never thought they could be homeowners. We were able to just share our information with them. And in a matter of 4 months, after being renters for their entire lives, they go and they purchase a full detached home with the fence, all that, simply because the information was made accessible to them. And that's one of the reasons I knew I had to put something together because there are People just out here lost simply because they don't have access to the information that's needed. And the information is out there, but it's hard to find. And you really genuinely have to dig. And so I feel like even if I'm one step ahead, not even ahead, if I'm just on another level temporarily, I want to be able to show people, hey, this is how I did it. Now, you can decide if you want to do the same thing or not. That's up to you. My job and my calling is just to make sure that it's out there so you can go ahead and pick it up. And so this all, again, just comes back to being able to make a decision. And my mentor is a gentleman by the name of Mr. Byron Nelson. And this is what I learned from him, that the word decide, it actually comes from the Latin terms di, and I don't want to butcher it, but it's like sidere. So di just means off. So di, like detached. And then the second part of the word, I really don't want to butcher it for all my Latin people out there, I'm sorry, simply just means to cut off. So basically, decide means to cut off all other options. And what happens when we say and we make a decision and say 2020 is my year, I'm going to start this business, I'm going to change my ways, I'm going to wake up earlier, drink some more water, whatever. We say these things, but we haven't powerfully decided to cut off all other options. We've just decided that it feels really convenient right now to say these things. But when the time comes, we're not willing to put in the work. We're not willing to cut off all other options. We love our options, but the problem with believing that we have options is we're holding ourselves back from exactly what it is that we're called to do. So that's the building block that I want to leave with you today. So we're building a legacy together. So the building block for your legacy that I want to leave you with today is find a way to truly decide what it is that you want to do. And we got to make decisions on a daily basis, but the decision part that I'm talking about today is you have to decide what you want to do with your life, or somebody is going to decide for you. And then you're going to look back 20, 30 years from now and say, what happened? I never got to that vacation that I wanted. I never bought the home that I wanted. I didn't get enough time with my family. I've simply been working to pay the bills, and that's it. And if that's what you want, that's okay. However, I know for certain that's not it. That's absolutely not it. Because why else would you be listening to a legacy podcast, right? Why else would you be looking for content to feed your soul, feed your mind? It's simply because you know that there's something more. You just don't know how to access or tap into it. And the way that you start is by making a decision, a powerful decision to cut off all other options and say, this is it. I'm going to go all in. And if it doesn't work, no problem. That means I just found one step closer to finding out what does work. So that's all I got for y'all. I'm over the moon, just excited, because we always talk about, take the jump or just start, right? I'm really good at that, telling people just start. But when it comes to my own self, it's a little harder. So I'm really happy that we get to go on this journey together. We get to start deciding powerfully what we're going to do with our lives instead of leaving it into the hands of fate or our bosses, right? So what I would love for y'all to do is y'all could check out the website at www.buildingalegacy.ca. You can check me out on Instagram, Olisya_G, Facebook at Olisya G, and really just reach out, like, comment, subscribe, all of that. I really want this to be interactive. So if there's a question that you have, maybe for the first couple episodes, I'm going to simply just be answering questions that we've gotten, like, how do you start a business? How do you overcome objections? How do you, this was one of my favorite questions, was how do you protect your energy from negative people when they're in your family, right? And all of these things tie into How do you become a person who can leave a legacy? Because you don't just leave a legacy by accident. You have to become a person who is worthy of having a legacy. Like, take a look at Kobe Bryant. He was determined to leave a legacy, and his legacy speaks. Nobody needs to say anything about Kobe Bryant. They know. And that's really what I'm striving for. Nobody needs to say, oh, Olisya Grant was this. They will know by everything that I've built, everything that's been left behind, all the lives that have been touched, simply by making a decision that that's what I want to do. So y'all, let's decide together to go on this legacy journey. If you got any questions for me or anything like that, leave them in the comments. I'm so humbled to even have the opportunity. Like, look at the world we're living in right now. It's 2020. I just set up an entire podcast in my office. Asked me 2 weeks ago how to start a podcast. I would say, I have no clue. YouTube taught me how to do this. So here we are. And if you have something burning in you and you think about it all day, that means you need to act on it. But before you can act on it, you need to decide that you're going to act on it. And then everything else just falls into place. So that's it for me, y'all. I hope that at least one person caught something from this podcast that you could take out into the world with you today. And let's build a legacy. Until next time, y'all.